Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. returns with a new time slot, a new attitude, and if there's any questions about them pulling off Ghost Rider, those should be set neatly to rest. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Season 4, Episode 1, The Ghost. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to our review of the Season 4 premiere of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, there are spoilers ahead, just so you've been warned. Now, the new 10 p.m. time slot promised to make Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a bit edgier, and they set that bar straight away from the beginning of the episode. A little bit more sexy, you've got a little self-medication on Daisy's part, though it ends up being a little bit different, but we do have more drug references throughout the episode, as well as a bit more violence, a bit more edge on that little blood spatter with the beginning fight. Really lets us know that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has stepped into a bit more of an adult realm. And I think this was a good change for it. It really puts it more in line tonally for the movies. The 9 p.m. time slot kept a little bit of a softer edge, a little more family value. So I think with this 10 o'clock time slot, they can definitely do more, and they show it straight off the bat. Now, as we ended last season and they did the 6-month time jump, my first interpretation is they were going to do that 6 months, which would be November, but now it being September, then we'd have a couple of months of storyline to build up to those moments. Completely wrong, totally out of it. They go straight away, and in fact, this show is starting off just after the scenes that we saw before. The agents have all been separated. Now that S.H.I.E.L.D. is a new public entity once again, the former agents are all set up in their different ways. We have Mac and Coulson jumping across the globe, chasing down leads on Inhumans. We got Fitz and Simmons in the lab, and we've got May training a new strike team. So everybody's kind of separated. And this also plays into the viewpoint of the director, as we find out throughout the episode. He's a little bit paranoid about, well, this right here. Hydra's infiltration of S.H.I.E.L.D. beforehand. So now he is separating people out, he is restricting knowledge, everything is classified. Nobody really, there's not that free flow of information that was more of the seat of the pants approach that Coulson was doing in the last couple of seasons. Now it's much more regimented, a little bit more in lines with the S.H.I.E.L.D. of old in that sense. But on the other hand, what this has done is give the team a bit more of camaraderie. It's not the same, Coulson's up here and everyone's kind of regulated. Everyone's proven themselves. So it really kind of brings everyone together. I mean, from the high five that Fitz gave to Coulson right when he came in, you really start to feel, that camaraderie. They have all really bonded. Now, we don't know what the road to this point Coulson followed. We don't know if he retired from the directorship, if he handed it over, if he was pulled off of it because, again, for the Avengers, he's technically dead, and so if they're going to have a public S.H.I.E.L.D., they need a bit more of a public face. Now, I really think they need to move on with the whole Coulson is dead thing. I know the separation that they have between the film world and TV world, but Marvel is always pushing the everything is connected idea. And at this point, Coulson wasn't exactly hiding. I mean, he was introduced to the Russian premier. The president knows his name. If Tony Stark can find out who Spider-Man is, then I'm sure at some point the name of Phil Coulson would have come across his desk, would have piqued his ears' interest, whether Jarvis at the time or now Friday might have signaled him in a little bit. So I think they need to find a way to move this on because it's dragging a little bit. That's my only critique. Now, the one person who isn't totally in with the group right now would be Jemma. Now, Fitz and Simmons are a couple. They are together. They seem to be living together, but unfortunately not seeing each other that much. Why? Because Jemma is now the special advisor to the director in science and technology, or SADIST, as Fitz put. I loved his little acronyms. Also, the Widespread Infiltration Monitoring Program, WIMP. Just nice little comments by Fitz there. However, because Jemma has this position with the director, again, who is not really well liked or, I don't know if respected, but certainly nobody feels that connection in with him, there has to be a certain wariness of it. Jemma, and I thought the whole scene between her and May was done beautifully. How it really got pushed to the core is it's not that Simmons is not trustworthy, it's just that they don't know the director. And because Simmons is getting these constant high-tech lie detector tests put on her, they have to restrict information from what Jemma knows. And Jemma is aware of this. Jemma is in this position because at this point she can at least know something. So while in some way she's not connected with the group, in another way she's really looking out for the group and trying to be in that position to at least try and steer things, to be able to talk and communicate with the director. So it really sets up a lot of fun levels for us to play out. And really this is what most of this episode really is just it's set up for the season to come. Now, rounding out our returning cast, we have, of course, Daisy, aka Quake, as she is now known to the world, a wanted vigilante. Coulson and Mac have been pulled from pursuing her because she has slipped through their fingers too many times. Director thinks maybe they're going soft on her, letting her go, but no, she is just that good. And not a vigilante, as we find out very quickly on, and again, I love that they are just cutting right clear and letting us know what the actual stakes and motivations for people are straight off, so we don't have all of this playing around, is she doing this, is she doing that? No, we know. She is after the watchdogs. That is the group that we met last season who is hunting down Inhumans. So she is pursuing watchdogs, cutting out their infrastructure, their money, hence the attacks on the banks and everything else that we saw in the headlines at the end of last season in the big 6-month flashback forward. So she is doing good work just out under the radar. Trying to protect people as much as she can, and of course it is through those pursuit of the watchdogs and their movement of the big mystery box, aka the Raiders of the Lost Ark box, as I like to call it, because of the mists and the ghosts, all beautifully well done. That's how she runs into Ghost Rider, and I think they did a good job with the ghosts and those special effects. Small things, I love. It's just perception, how you're seeing everyone else. You get a little bit of the ghost floating through the background right there, both with the Chinese and then later on following May around. Just a really smart use of effects money. Do small things, imply it with us, and we will follow. You don't need to have giant shots of the Zephyr landing, every episode. We've seen that. I'd rather have them spend the money on this other smaller stuff and keep things alive throughout the rest of the episode. Much better use of funds. Now, helping her out, even though the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents don't know that, we have Yo-Yo Rodriguez returning and also bringing a little bit of sexy with Mac. Again, a bit more of those adult themes that we can see now with the new 10 p.m. time slot. So everybody is kind of placed out, helping out and interacting. And again, really a nice setup of pieces for the season to move forward on. Now, of course, Daisy is a driven person, but she is driven by guilt. She knows that she went back to Hive, that the addiction overcame her. And she blames herself for the death of Lincoln as well. So there is so much that she doesn't want to reveal, or so much that she is blamed for herself. Basically, so much pain that she is carrying around. She is willing to push herself further and harder than she really should, hence the damaging of herself with her powers and needing the bone healing medication that she got from Yo-Yo. So in that scene at the very end where Ghost Rider has her down and she is on her back and just asks for relief, do it, take me, you are the spirit of vengeance, I deserve it. She doesn't get killed. The Rider doesn't kill her. Robbie may have his particular agreements, but again, it's not he who chooses, it is the Rider. And Daisy hasn't really done those wrongs. She's made mistakes, for sure, but she hasn't crossed that line into really evil, intentional infliction of pain. Not when she was by herself. Yeah, she made some bad moves against Mac, but she was under the influence of Hive. It's not the same type of thing. So this is really going to continue to, I think, drive her character forward throughout the season. Of course, she blames herself, but what really we find out in the beginning is her blaming herself is not true. It is not the case. She is not the one behind it. In fact, she is working and spending her time trying to defend people, trying to be that shield. So I just love that little dynamic that they had right there at the end, where they're showing that she is not crossing the line. And it also, again, it keeps the writer from being evil, from being just a villain. This is someone who can make choices, and this is what's going to, I think, further develop the dynamic throughout this season. And last but not least, we have John Hannah returning as Dr. Radcliffe and his development of AIDA, the very first of the LMDs, the life model decoys. Another great scene set up there with Fitz and the revelation of AIDA. And I love her explanation too. I love, again, they're jumping right into it, that she is there to save lives. Because the team has lost so many people, she can now, or an LMD like her, could now step in, could be the target, could be the shield. I'd love that tie-in for the rest of the agents. And of course, Fitz can't tell Jemma because Jemma would be forced to tell the director. So it was really good that Fitz just went over to watch the football games just with Radcliffe, and Jemma had to work because otherwise things would have gotten a lot more complicated. Much like in that scene between Jemma and May, find out that Jemma would have to tell because she is constantly under the barrage of these lie detector tests. People can't tell her things for her own protection, and she's got to be in that position in order to help protect them. So a lot of exclusionary knowledge for people's protection, but everyone's aware of it. Anyway, just a beautiful introduction of the character and showing that this is going to be Fitz's movement forward is helping Radcliffe fix the software to make sure that it is perfect. All right, so with all of that information in, let's get down to the big brass tacks of it, and that is Ghost Rider. How was Ghost Rider done? 1, awesome. 2, great effects. 3, awesome. Beautifully. They were really smart. I mean, first, the use of the car in this hides a lot of things. You can use a lot of special effects. So using the Robbie Reyes version is, I think, smarter in some ways than using the Johnny Blaze version because they can sort of disguise, because television has always been good with car chases and any car work. That's really the bread and butter of television since the 1970s action TV and cop shows. So TV really knows how to deal with this. And they were smart with their budget in the way they used it. They kept things, you didn't see Ghost Rider for much of the episode. They kept things in shadow, they implied stuff, able to save those special effects money so that when they did spend it, when they did the big car flip and it flames up, that looks really good. And when we finally get to Ghost Rider and we get that reveal, it is completely worth it. I think they did an amazing job with the effects. It looks great. It's right up on par. It does not look cheesy in any sense, and it's still the way that they have the flamage and the cracks in the skull really implies a lot of that comic book feel that the character is based off of. So I think they did an amazing job with it. I think Gabriel Luna is doing a fabulous job as Robbie Reyes, and we get a bit more of the diversity. This is something that Marvel has been accused of not necessarily having the same diversity that's really representative of the world. And I think now they are starting to expand things out and tell these stories with much more of a diverse cast, really accessing more of, really just reflecting more of the population at large and really being inclusive of everyone. So I think they did an amazing job with the effects. And just a couple of small things. One, Yo-Yo Rodriguez has to sign the Sokovia Accords. So we're really seeing how much Sokovia Accords aren't applying to just the Avengers, but for any enhanced human. What that means is they can't do anything unless they get approval from the UN body who is covering all of that. Whether or not S.H.I.E.L.D. can step in and give that approval for them, or if it's really just this long bureaucratic process, not for sure known. However, as Yo-Yo puts it, S.H.I.E.L.D. now works much too slow. She likes to move faster, as Mac is learning. 2, Radcliffe is not entirely in the clear. As Fitz points out, one of the terms of his probation is he needs to get approval for any type of experimentation. Hence why they have to keep AIDA a secret, because if the director finds out, this is probably going to get him in trouble. However, Fitz does see the value in it, and thus why he is willing to help him out until it is perfect. and then it can be revealed to the director, not, again, as a weapon, as was Fitz originally concerned about, but as a shield. And finally, there was a lot of questions about how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to tie into Doctor Strange. There's always a big tie-in to all of the movies, and since really all of the films take place off-planet, we have Spider-Man in the middle of summer next year, but nothing really while Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is in season, not all the way up until we get to Black Panther back in February 2018. This is really going to be the only kind of tie into what's going on in the larger movie universe. So how are they going to do it with Doctor Strange? Probably not a direct tie-in. What they are tying in is the themes of magic, the themes of the next world, which is why we have Robbie Reyes here as Ghost Rider, who sold his soul to the devil and got the Rider's powers in return. So we are offering up demons. Same thing as we have with the, like I said, the mystery box, the ghost that it revealed. As we find out, that ghost has tagged along with May, and luckily she is not caving in immediately to its suggestions, which is nice. She's a strong character. But again, it's these next world, these demons, these other dimensional creatures, as we may say, that thematically are going to tie us into Doctor Strange. So maybe not a direct tie-in, but definitely those themes are being explored as Marvel is expanding the reality that they have introduced us. Everything was science-based first, we expanded a little bit more with the space and Thor and Asgard, and now we are stepping into the transdimensionality, the magic, the demons that are the lifeblood of Doctor Strange. And that's going to wrap us up for this week. As I was saying, just a beautiful episode. I have no complaints really throughout this episode at all. I love the moves that they have made. I love the choices that they have made, both character-wise and budgetary-wise and special effects-wise. I think they're embracing what they can do with the 10 p.m. time slot. And if this is any indication of the season to come, I am so super excited. Now, how long are we going to see Ghost Rider? I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be a full season thing. I don't know if it's supposed to be a full season thing. Last year they were ending up with the whole fallen agent idea, but that was only like the last half of the season, maybe even a little bit less of that. So I think they're probably going to do something like this. Maybe this is just a fall first half of the season, and then they will move on to other things for the next season. Don't know yet. As I said, they're making some great choices. They're really being smart about what they're doing, and I cannot wait to see what comes up with the rest of the season. Also, at the very end, we did get introduced to Gabe, Robbie Reyes' brother, played by Lorenzo James Henry, who you may recognize from Fear the Walking Dead, in a very different role. Gabe Reyes is a much more of a light-hearted character. Character that he's playing over on Fear the Walking Dead, Chris Manuel, very different, very dark. So it's fun to kind of see that range of the actor. Anyway, if you did enjoy this review, please go ahead and hit the like button. You can hit the subscribe button right over here by the S.H.I.E.L.D. sign. Come back every week. I'm really excited about this season, and I'm overjoyed. I cannot wait to see what else they are going to bring. We are wrapping up Mr. Robot. That is tomorrow night. And of course, we're finishing up Fear the Walking Dead, and we'll be moving into Walking Dead as soon as it premieres on the 23rd of October. Now, don't forget, and I'm sure you all know, we have Luke Cage coming on Netflix at the end of the month. So that is going to be exciting. Marvel Television has been stepping it up, and I cannot wait to see whatever else they're going to bring for us. So that's going to be it, everyone. You can always catch me on Twitter. I'm at Darren Jakes. Other than that, I am D, and I am out of here. You guys take it easy. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.